guys, this is Rydon Academia, and today we'll be looking on how to make a sales ledger control account. Now, our control account is simply an aggregate account, okay? A control account is a memorandum account. It shows the total or the aggressive numbers of debtors or creditors, the aggregate numbers, okay? The aggregate amount that they are owed. In our ledger account, we only review how much each individual owes us, okay? But in our control account, we are showing the sum total, all right, of how much that all our creditors are, all our debtors are owing us, okay? Or the sum total of how much we are owing our creditors. Are we together? So in our control account, we're going to be making an aggregate account, like I said. So now I'll be showing us the format very quick. We have our control account. Usually in our ledger account, sales is credited, right? This sales ledger control account is also called your debtors control account, okay? Your debtors or sales ledger, it shows your total bills receivable, that is from your debtors, alright? So you can either call it sales ledger control account or you can call it debtors control account, alright? But I'll be addressing this as our sales ledger control account. Okay, now the format is very easy. Since in your ledger account sales used to be debited, usually in this account sales is debited, all right? So we have a balance brought forward. Now our balance brought forward is simply the amount owed to you in the previous year, all right? The amount that was owed to you, the amount that was not settled by your debtors, okay, from the previous year, you are bringing it to this year, right? So this is your balance brought forward for the year. It's usually debited, all right? So this is the money that we were owing you from the previous year. Are we together? Then you have your total credit sales, your credit sales for the year, right? The sum total of items you sold on credit to your debtors for the year is what we refer to as our credit sales, okay? This account is usually prepared to review the balance owed to us by debtors. Are we together? So we have our credit sales. Now this format is very easy. I'm going to teach you a quick trick, okay? In our debit side, in our sales ledger, everything that will increase our account, we debit it, all right? Everything that will increase our debtors or increase the money owed to us, we are going to be debiting it. Then everything that will decrease, all right, decrease the amount owed to us, we are going to be crediting it. Are we together? For example, when your creditors pays you cash, all right, cash received from your customers or your debtors, all right, when they pays you cash, the total amount they owe to you will reduce, right? So we're crediting this entry. Are we together? All right. And sometimes not all customers pay in cash. Some pay by transfer, all right? So they pay through check or by transfer. Now when they pay through check, you also what? Credit it, because this will also be what? Reducing the amount owed. Are we together? This will also be reducing the amount owed. Now when customer buys in bulk or when they pay on time, it's a normal custom for the business to give discounts, okay? And discount will reduce the money owed to the business. So that same format I told you, everything that will decrease the amount owed will be credited. So the discount received or discount allowed, sorry, since it's sales, we only have discount allowed. So discounts are allowed to customers, all right? This will also reduce their debt, all right? We have things like the bad debt. Now, bad debt is determined by the business, okay? The business will write off some debt when they are seeing that the customer may not be able to pay, maybe the customer died or the customer's business has liquidated, okay? So we call those debts bad debts, debt that cannot be recovered. So this will also reduce the amount, right? The aggregate amount owed by customers. Are we together? Now let's come back to our credit side. We'll be doing that, we'll be taking each place progressively, okay? Now let's come back to our debit side. Sorry, like I said, here is for increase, okay? Increase in debt, you are debit. Everything that will make your debt increase, that will make the debt on customers increase, you are debiting it, all right? For example, when customers don't pay on time, there's usually an interest given by the supplier, all right? The interest is added because they did not pay on time, all right? So we have our interest added, interest on late payments, all right? When customers don't pay on time, usually an interest, an additional interest, okay, and that will end up increasing your bills. Are we together? Now we have our bills receivable. Now your bills receivable is a document that you send to your customers, okay, to show them the amount they are owing. Now when your customers accept bills receivable, it becomes a reduction in their debt, okay. So when we have bills receivable accepted, we'll be crediting that, alright, because that will be reducing, like I said, our decrease, right? It will be reducing the total amount owed by the debtors. Now, but when they dishonor the bills receivable, it becomes a liability, right? Or that means they are owing more, so it becomes an asset to the business, a liability on them, okay? So it becomes an asset, meaning their debt will increase. So when we have bills receivable dishonored, alright, like I said, the simple trick, once you know that your debit side record sales, your credit sales, everything that will increase debt, you are debiting it. Everything that will reduce debt, you are what? Crediting it. Everything that increase debt, you are debiting it. Everything that reduce debt, you are crediting it. Now let's go. We also have what is called a set-off. Alright? Now in the case where your customer, that is your debtor, is also a creditor. Example, we have some businesses. Let me give a practical example. Maybe somebody sells in the market, okay? He's a wholesaler in the market, and his neighbor is a retailer. Are we together? That's just a practical example. You have a neighbor as a retailer in your house, but in the market you are a wholesaler. Your neighbor comes to the market to buy on credit, okay? So at the market account, he is your debtor because he buys on credit. And then when you come home, one or two times, you also buy on credit from your neighbor. Are we together? So the money you are buying on credit from your neighbor, it will be called a set-off, meaning instead of paying him in cash, you'll be reducing the money from his account in the market. Are we together? So set-off will also be what? Credited, because it is what? Reducing the amount owing. So whenever you see a set-off, meaning the customer is also that is, your debtor is also a creditor, okay, in both sides. So in that case, there are other things, like I said, we have discount allowed, we also have discount disallowed. Alright, maybe the business gave out discount to customer, and for one reason or the other the discount was cancelled, maybe due to late payment. Are we together? So discount disallowed will also what? Increase their debt. We also increase their debt. Are we together? There are many other things, many other entries that I may not be doing in this video, but you must get the real idea that you are debiting everything that will increase the debt, okay? And then you are crediting everything that will reduce the debt. Are we together? Every increase in debt you are debiting, and then every reduction in debt you are crediting. So in that case, you can also have a balance carried on like we usually have. Okay, in some cases you may be giving a credit balance like we'll be solving whenever you are having a credit balance, okay, or whenever, that means if you're having a credit balance, meaning your balance brought down will be on the credit side, meaning your balance carried down has to be on the debit side. That is when you are giving a credit balance. Now these are some technologies used in control accounts where you have a credit balance given from the equation. A credit balance means your balance brought down should be on your credit side. Your balance brought down, and then if your balance brought down will be on your credit side, that means your balance carried down will be on your debit side. So in this control account, you can be having cases of two balance carried down, okay? I will be doing that as we continue progressively. We'll take an example and then we'll solve together, so stay with us. Alright, so we'll be taking a question very quickly. The following balances appears in the book of Augustine on the 1st of January 1996, okay? First, we have sundry debtors, 14,581 naira. We have credit balance in sales ledger, 902. We have the following transaction took place during the month. We have bad debt written up, 627 naira. We have discount allowed, 1,593 naira. We have sales returns and allowances, we have 814 naira. Bills receivable accepted, 8,351 naira. We have cash received from customers, 32,706 naira. We have credit sales, 37,906 naira. We have balance on sales ledger set off against balance in purchase ledger, 1,498 naira. Okay, we have balance at the close. We have a sales ledger credit balance, 1,279 naira, and we are required to prepare the sales ledger control account. Are we together? So I'm going to be preparing the accounts now. We'll be taking all the entries one after the other. But in accounting, the first thing you will do is your name, okay, of the account holder. So we'll be entering the name of the account holder. In this case, his name is Augustine, alright? Augustine is the account holder. So this is Augustine. And we can now address the account. It's our debit side, that's our sales ledger control account, okay? Okay, and these are credit side. Alright. So we are through with addressing the account and we are through with the name, okay? Now let's start making our entries. We have our sundry debtors. Now this information was given at the beginning of the month, okay? That means it was a brought down from the previous month. Are we together? So since we are having a sundry debtors, we could simply bring it as our balance brought forward. Are we together? Our balance brought forward of 14,581 naira. So our naira sign, very important. Alright, so this is our balance brought forward from the previous month. So we also have a credit balance. Now it was also from the previous month, okay? So since it's from the previous month, we'll simply be entering as a balance brought forward, alright, on our credit side. So this is also a balance brought forward, and that amount is 902 naira. Right, meaning this was a carry down, a credit balance in the previous month. But that's the carry down was in the debit side, so the brought down will be on the credit side. Now the transaction that took place during the month. Now we're going to be addressing the issues that pertains to the month. Now we have a bad debt written off. Now bad debt written off, like I told us that our debit side record increase, all right, and our credit side record decrease. Okay, whatever we decrease their debt is what we put in our credit side. Whatever we increase the customer's debt, we put it on the debit side. Are we together? So this is for sales ledger. We are dealing with our debtors account, okay? So a bad debt written off, that means the business wrote it off, okay? So it will be reducing the account of the customers. So we are entering it on the credit side. We have bad debts written off, okay? That amount is 627 naira. We together. Now the next one we have is discounts allowed. Like I also said, discount allowed will be reducing the total debt, okay? We'll be reducing the money owed by our debtors. So we'll also be entering that on our credit side. We have discounts allowed. And our discount allowed is 1,593 naira. Okay? These are discount allowed. Now the next information is our sales returns. Sales returns is the same as your returns inward, okay? Either you say returns inward or sales returns. Now, since we are having the returns inward, that means the money owed by the debtors will also be reducing. So we have our sales returns. This will also reduce the amount of money owed by the debtors. This is how much? 840 naira. Okay. Now we have bills receivable accepted. Like I was telling us, when it is accepted, meaning the amount owed by the debtors will reduce, okay? Because it is assumed, and once it is accepted, it is assumed that the business will receive the money or the business has received the money. So when we have bills receivable or bills receivable accepted, we credit it, okay? Accepted. Yeah, and that's amounting to 8,351 naira. So for space, I'll be writing this down. 8,351 naira. Right? Okay. The next one we have is cash received from customers. Now, cash received from customers will also reduce the amount owed to us, okay? So we have what? Cash received. And our cash received is 32,706. So we have 32,706 naira. Alright. The next one we have is our credit sales. Now, credit sales will be increasing the amount owed to us, okay? So we're going to be debiting that. We have our credit sales. And our credit sales is 37,906. Alright. This is how much credit sales they made for the month. Now we have a balance of sales ledger set off against balance in purchase ledger. Like I said, set off is a situation where your creditor is also a debtor, okay? So a set off means another transaction occurred, alright, that will be reducing our debt or reducing his debt, okay? So we are using that debt from the purchase ledger to cancel our debt in our sales ledger. So our set off will also be reducing how much is owed to us, okay? So our set off is 1,498 naira. Alright. Now we have a balance at a close. Now this is where the confusing word is, okay? We have a balance at a close, and we are told that we have a sales ledger credit balance, okay? Now, like I was telling us, that our credit balance means a balance brought down, okay, on the credit side. Now, when we were beginning, we had a balance brought down, okay, a credit balance. We studied that balance brought for because it was from the previous month. Now, at the end of the month, we are having a balance, a credit balance, okay? That means our balance brought down must be on the credit side. And if our balance brought down must be on the credit side, it means our carry down must be on the debit side. Are we together? So for that case, we'll be entering our balance carry down on our debit side so that our brought down, which is our credit balance, will be on our credit side. And we have that balance for 1,279. Okay, so this is the total information given to us. So very quickly, the next thing we'll be doing is to balance up this account, okay? So the balancing of this account, we're going to be totaling our debit side total, our credit side total. We will now see the greater part of it, okay? And then we'll less and get our balance carried down. Okay, so we'll be totaling our debit side, okay? We want to balance our account. So in our debit side, we're having 14,581 plus 37,906 plus 1,279. So when we do that, we'll be having 53,766, okay? Then we'll come to our credit side and total all the figures, okay? So in our credit side, we'll be having 46,517. Now we have gotten our debit and credit side. In balancing the accounts, meaning we are going to be lessing the smaller value from the bigger value, okay, to have our balance. So when we less that, we'll be having a balance of 7,259. Alright, this is our balance. Now, since our debit side is bigger than our credit side, it means the balance is a debit balance, okay? But for it to be a debit balance, that means the balance brought down will be on our debit side. That also means the carry down will be on our credit side, okay? So we'll be entering our balance carry down, okay, which is 7,259. So that if we balance this account, the entries or the total figures will be same, alright? So we'll be balancing our account now. I want to make my answers on similar lines, alright? So we'll total this up, we'll be having 53,766 naira, alright? Should be on the same line. So let's close our account for the month, right? Now we are through with this month. Now for the next month, we'll be having our balance brought down, okay? This is our balance carry down. I told you it was a credit balance. This If our carry down is on the debit side, that means our brother will be on the credit side. Okay, our carry down was on the debit side, so that means our balance brought down will be on the credit side. So we have our balance brought down from our debit side, which is 1,279, right? And in the same case, we also have a balance on the credit side, a balance carried down. So that will also be a balance brought down on our debit side. We have our balance brought down of 7,259. So this is our sales ledger control account. We can see the balance of debtors owed at the end of the month. Okay, now in this case we are through with our sales ledger control account. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our video if it was helpful to you, and share with others. Okay, see you in our next class. Thank you.